Hey, glad you guys made it. We are here at the Half Century of Progress. This is the show. This is the World Series. They've lined up the tractors and it shows the evolution of International Harvester and Farmall.
I just didn't buy your tractor. I gained a real good friend.
So this is the last 6030 that left John Deere. This is the latest 6030 that anybody could actually own.
This is our 1911 Reeves 40 tractor, 2244 Minneapolis tractor, 3060S Rumley. This is something to see.
My name's Bentley Carpenter from Paris, Kentucky. We're at the Half Century of Progress in Rantoul, Illinois, and you're watching Old Iron Adventures Part 2.
I'm Kurt Allman of Allman Auctions. We have been in business for over 60 years, and I've tried countless times to put into words the adventures we go on and the situations we get into, but I just can never seem to do it, so we're going to show you. We are an international auction company specializing in all things vintage power. Through our adventures, we have seen some of the rarest items in the world, from vintage tractors, trucks, cars, signs, memorabilia, and so much more. We are not just an auction company, we are collectors with a passion for the items we sell. But it's not just about the items, it's also about the people. We get to experience, share, and tell the history of our past. Every day is different in the auction industry. Now it's time we take you on the adventure with us.
Okay, so this morning we're just driving around, looking at some things. We're gonna go visit Herbert. He has 2 international prototype tractors here. And then we're also gonna go talk to Sam about his Massey Ferguson. So we're here with Herbert and Danny today, and Herbert's the owner of these 2 tractors right here behind us. He bought them on an auction a couple years ago, and they definitely look a lot different than they did then. But can you kind of give us a rundown on what was done to these tractors?
Yeah, I was always curious in the last 10 years what IH was developing before the merger with Case took place. And I heard a rumor that some tractors are already at the University of Wisconsin in River Falls, and I tried to contact the people there, and they responded and told me the tractors are there. And some years nothing happened, and then suddenly there was the auction at Orman. I was surprised when I won the auction, and I'm from Austria, and I didn't know how to bring them. I sat down in Austria at home, and I had 2 tractors in Illinois. And so I called my friend Danny Anderson from Pine Island, Minnesota. I know him very long, and I know he's in the tractor restoration business, and I was out of this business, but he told me these 2 tractors he will do for me. And so he helped me to get the tractors from Nokomis to Pine Island, Minnesota, and the last years he did the restoring. And after this Half Century of Progress show, we will put them in the container and bring them to Austria, because these are unique tractors and they would have been released in the fall of 1985. And many people in Austria and in Europe are interested in these tractors, and I look forward to get them to my home.
I bet. That's very exciting.
Herbert shipped over parts from Austria to me, because there's a lot of parts on these that we can't get here in the United States, so he shipped stuff over for me. Don't really have any books for wiring or anything, but we're were able to manage to get all the wiring stuff straightened out. Other than the full service, all the oils, all the fluids, antifreeze, everything, all the filters. We went through them all, put lights on, fixed lights, did the cab interiors in them, dynoed them, run them, and then they went in for paint. And then I had a lady right by us, TS Signs out of Mazeppa, Minnesota. She did these decals for us. It was a lot of work to make them look like this.
I bet.
Yeah, they turned out really nice.
They did, yes.
So this tractor, this one's 85 horsepower, and that one is
25.
45, I believe, is what we dynoed them. I forget the exact, but they had what they're rated
Yeah.
at. That one has a 3-cylinder German diesel engine in it, IH built. This one has a 4-cylinder German diesel engine in it with a turbo on it.
Oh,
So,
okay.
In the United States, we never had any of the German diesel engines had turbos on it.
Yeah.
They were all naturally aspirated. So this is the first one I've ever seen, and I've worked at IH and Case IH for 17 and a half years.
In Europe, it's not common to have such a historic show,
Okay.
such a big show, and the impressions are incredible for us, and that's very cool.
Yeah. So we're here with Sam Harris today, and he is the owner of this Massey Ferguson tractor behind us. Sam, can you tell us what you have here and how long you've had it?
Well, I've had it since about 1985. I found it about 50 miles south of Chicago at a construction company site. They just were along a highway and they had it setting out for sale. And a month later I came back by there and it was still for sale, so I bought it.
Okay.
And I thought it would work well in my sod business because it had such good flotation. It's 3-wheel drive. The front wheel pulls as well as the rear wheels, and they started with a Goodyear tire that they then vulcanized ribs onto right here.
Okay.
And then the front wheel is the same tire except they filled the center in on it. If you can see, it's filled in clearly here instead of out where the others are. And these tires are not available. These are the original tires.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
Very cool.
And it's impossible to get them. Luckily, there are some people out there who will work on old tires.
Can you explain to us what is the reference of this number up here?
Well, that reference is to the number that's in this picture right here. And I found this out maybe about 7 years ago. The G5 141 is the military numbers for a Massey Ferguson 165 tractor. I looked that up online, and then I put it on the tractor once I found it.
Yeah.
And that gave me hope because I had been under the impression this was probably built for Barry Boggs or something like that. I had just no idea what this tractor had been built for. But I'd always thought maybe it was built by Massey because the lines were so clean on it, and the hydraulic pumps tucked under the step, the hydraulic reservoir to run the front wheel is tucked under the other step, and it's just all very neat
it is,
way in which it's been done.
Okay, now earlier you demonstrated, can you tell everybody what you were demonstrating earlier up here when you put your jack down?
Okay, what I was doing was I picked the front end up and I put the hydraulic cylinder on it. That was not part of it. And then I engaged the PTO. The front wheel runs off of the PTO shaft. And you would think that it would be out of sync with your gears, but it doesn't ever seem to be. Whatever gear you put it in, it just seems to help you. And the faster you run the engine, the faster it will go. But the one thing, it will also pull the tractor without it even being in gear. If you would rather just run this, you can, and you better hold on, because if you put it wide open, it'll go faster than you want to go.
Hey, I'm here with my buddy Steve Vanderzeel, a good friend of mine. You know, I've got friends from North Carolina that bring me moonshine, but Steve brings me genuine maple syrup from Michigan. So that's, at my age, that's even better than the moonshine. But he's got a super cool tractor here. Very well. How many of these are known even?
I think 5. This is the only one in the U.S. that's running. This is a Fitch 2035, built in 1919. It's made in Big Rapids, Michigan. I read some literature on that from Fitch, and they, in their literature, they brag that they built the state-of-the-art facility. It was 60 by 200. And that's where they built them in Big Rapids.
And that was the entire tractor plant then.
Yep, that was the entire plant.
Yeah.
It's in pretty nice shape. You sit in the seat and you can't see what's ahead of you. I'm quite amazed the radiator doesn't have holes in it, you know, but
sure,
because you can't see. But it's in pretty nice shape.
You literally cannot see, can you?
No. When you sit in the seat, you can't. You got to look around the hood each way.
Explain a little how this four-wheel drive works, because I mean it's 100% mechanical.
Yep. It has a drive shaft from the transmission. It's full time. There is a ring gear up at the top with a pinion that drives the ring. That's connected to a shaft that goes down to the differential gear. And that differential gear then goes, there's a differential and then there's shafts that go out to both axles. By doing that, it allows that front axle to pivot on the center and swivel, and then there's a pivot, you know, for left and right for rough ground.
Unreal.
It's just an odd design, but it works, it functions, it's heavy duty.
How's the power steering?
It's Armstrong steering.
yeah.
It actually steers pretty good with a chain steer. It's surprisingly easy to steer.
Yeah. You know, if they were used in logging or anything like that, they got beat to pieces.
Oh yeah.
You know. So
yeah.
That's probably why none of them survived.
Yep. And this one here, you know, it's pretty straight. It ain't been busted up. It's pretty straight tractor.
Right.
I was very, very fortunate to get a hold of it and very grateful.
Hey, so we're standing next to two very unusual tractors. These are not American tractors. We may have to sprechen say Deutsch here a little bit to tell you about these Lanz Alldogs. So these are German built. Lanz, of course, was a predominant tractor manufacturer in Germany. So this is a model 1205, that's a model 1215. Very unusual. You know, a lot of small farms in Germany, and so it's almost basically a self-propelled wagon. And so these were kind of suited for that, and a lot of farm to market type farms. So they would, maybe they were growing produce or something, they'd load it into these Alldogs and drive it to market.
I got a little story about these Alldogs. Kenny called me one night and he said, what do you think of those Alldogs? And he didn't know it, but I'd been looking at them and I'd picked out the one I wanted to buy. And Kenny picked out the one he wanted to buy, and they weren't the same one. So we both bid on Alldogs, and they ended up exactly the same price. It was quite ironic. But I was the winner because I conned him into picking them up and hauling them for me. So Kenny knows more history than I do, so I'll turn it over to him.
The Alldogs, they made them from 52 to 58. John Deere bought Lanz in 1956, and they still build tractors in Anaheim, Germany over there. I think it's a 300, 400, and 500 series tractors in Anaheim, Germany. They had several attachments. They had plows. Steve's here's got a mowing machine on it. They had diggers, but they're a two-cycle 13 horse, so it's sitting right there beside you, so your left hearing isn't real good. Oh, now like this one, has got a mud lug on it, so if it got muddy and you were out there in the field, the steel wheel would go down and touch the ground and pull you on through. These also had a crab steer on them. The back end, you could, like if you was going around a hill, you could turn this steering wheel here and it would crab steer. So it's just something unique about it. And this bed would go forward. We've got a picture here of the wagon dumped there.
I'm here, Ed Winkleman. We're here at the Half Century of Progress in Rantoul, Illinois. I'm the president of the Friends of Green Club, and we have a variety of tractors in our tent here. And among the tractors in the tent, we have the 4th John Deere D off the assembly line. These tractors were built from 1923 to 1953. They were the longest running production tractor made. And at this time, I'll hand it over to Kenny and let him talk a little bit about his tractor.
I think Ed then told you this is the 4th tractor off the assembly line. It was built June the 3rd of 1923. The 23s, they built 50 of them. And this one happens to be one of them. The 23s are unique. They had what we call the ladder radiator here. They had the little bitty letters on the radiator. So if you see one with little, and the front axle was a telltale about them. The front axle was a fabricated front axle, and later on they made a cast front axle because this wasn't real successful. On the 23s and the 24s, they had a 26-inch flywheel. And it caused a problem because sometimes when you turn the front wheel and go over a berm, the skid ring would hit the flywheel. So in 25, they come out with a 24-inch flywheel, and that solved the problem. On this real early tank, that was the wording that is set on the back of the fuel tank, and that fuel tank is riveted together and soldered. That's the only one we've seen that's been riveted and soldered. On a 23, there's 4 holes in the spoke here. A 24 has 3, a 25 has 2, and a 26 has none. This has a speed reducer on it. And I always thought a D went slow anyway, and they did go slow. But in California, they pulled these big Holt combines, and they wanted to slow them down even more to pull that combine. So this reduced the speed 20%. So instead of 1.5 mile an hour, I'd run 1.25 mile an hour.
And we're celebrating the 100th birthday with cupcakes and cake over here, if you guys want to get a picture of that. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dee. Happy birthday to you.
Well, we just got done looking at one of the earliest known examples of the John Deere D with the 1923 D over there, but here's an example of one of the last John Deere Ds made. The last 50 tractors were called Streeter Ds, made in 1953. Of course, it's the longest production run of a John Deere tractor was the Model D. But the orders were so great when they decided to discontinue the Model D assembly line that orders came in for an additional tractor production to be made. Well, by the time the orders got in, all the parts would move to another location, so they decided to set an assembly line up in the back alley of one of the factories. Henceforth the name Streeter D. They were assembled in the street. So these were on a non-moving assembly line. The parts moved it instead of the tractor moving to the parts, but they were assembled in the back alley. And this is a fine example of a nice restored Streeter D, complete with Rice lug tires, single rib front tires, excellent restoration. You don't find them any better than this, nor do you find them much newer than this.
Wrapping up here at Half Century of Progress 2023. It's been a pretty good show, good turnout. There's a lot of different stuff here. We're starting to slowly pack our stuff up to head back to Nokomis. One of my probably top things of this show is the amount of stuff you can't even describe. You just have to see it to believe how much stuff is here. But I really enjoyed seeing the Big Buds, the Steigers, the Earthquake, watching the old stuff plow, watching the newer stuff plow. So yeah, it's been a good show. I'd say they had a good turnout, even though it was really hot the first couple of days, but we made it. We would like to thank everybody on the board here at Half Century of Progress for letting us come out and do this. We always have a great time. We enjoy talking to the people and getting to know everyone that's here and brought their stuff. But for now, we're gonna get back to cleaning up, call it a day, and we'll be looking forward to Half Century 2025.
So we are here in Vancouver, Washington for the Bob Gaunt sale. This is actually the pickup now, so we've got everything sold. We have everything from Rumley's John Deere collection, a huge sign collection.
Today we're out here in Lake Mills, Iowa, nice crisp fall morning, loading out Al Larson's collection.
Baby. Leap and lean. Oh, shoot that thing. Model A from, oh, he got him. Ow. I told you to shoot that thing and you'd think that's a little relief. Leap.